cast of Final Fantasy VI is one of the best in the series and has a lot of my personal favorites. My favorite Final Fantasy character of all time comes from this game, and that would have to be Setzer Gabianni, the Wandering Gambler. Before I had played Final Fantasy VI, I didn't really have an all-time favorite character. The closest would probably be Tifa from 7, but no other character had caught my attention quite like Setzer did. When he appeared for the first time in the game, I was blown away right off the bat by his cool factor. I was getting so many Han Solo and Lando Calrissian vibes in his introduction. The concept of a wandering gambler with the only airship in the world with a casino on board and fighting with non-conventional weapons such as cards and dice was just so cool to me. He was also a cool roguish type that took risk and was a womanizer on top of that. His whole concept caught my imagination as I thought how it would be to own a casino airship and go on crazy adventures just like some of my favorite Star Wars characters. I also loved his character design, a black long coat, long white hair, facial scars, and cards in hand. I just couldn't believe how cool this character was to me. So as you can tell, the cool factor of Setzer was a huge part as to why I fell in love with the character, but there was more to it than that. He wouldn't be much of a character if he didn't have a backstory and motivations, which is another aspect of the character that I really enjoy. Setzer's past, much like the rest of Six's cast, is tragic. Setzer and his girlfriend, Daryl, were both airship enthusiasts, both creating their own two airships, the Falcon and the Blackjack. One day, the two decided to hold a friendly race around the world with the two ships. Daryl ended up being the fastest and won the race, but she wanted to continue flying and break a new record. Setzer was done for the day and waited at their favorite hill until she was finished, but she never came back. Sometime later, Setzer had found her airship crashed and demolished in a distant land. Burying her in the tomb near Kollingen, the Falcon was also restored and buried underneath the tomb. But Setzer couldn't bring himself to fly it. To cope with his loss, Setzer buried himself in his gambling habits and traveled the world until he ran into the Returners, where he would go on to help them in their fight against the Empire and Kefka. After the world ends and the Blackjack is destroyed, Setzer loses all hope and drinks away his problems. Celeste and Sabin track down Setzer at the pub, but he is hesitant to help them again. But Celeste convinces him to get back into the fight. Swallowing the pain of Daryl's death, Setzer takes them to her tomb and releases the Falcon, which would become their new airship that would eventually help them save the world from Kefka's rule. Setzer's loss of Daryl and his fear of facing his past is something that I think lots of people can relate to, and I can relate especially. His free spirit and his attitude towards chance is something that I carry into my real life. Sometimes you just gotta feel your way through a situation and take risks, even if you don't know the outcome. I also really like Setzer's hesitance to help the Returners because the Empire has been responsible for him allowing to make money, and he doesn't see them as evil at first. He only helps out because of a bet he loses against Celeste, which only reinforces the Han Solo and Lando parallels that make me relate to the character even more. You get the impression that Setzer is hardened and accustomed to the way the world really works and doesn't blindly pick sides or fight for a cause. He looks out for himself first. But when realizing that he's made friends and understands the severity of the situation, he joins the party to end the conflict. In terms of his gameplay, Setzer has mediocre stats, but that didn't stop me from running him in my main party, not even close. The uniqueness of his job, being a gambler, made him appeal to me so much. The gambler job is one that has loose appearances in other games, but Setzer is really the only character in the series fully dedicated to it. I had never seen any other character in any video game use such strange weapons like cards, darts, and dice, but it's such a unique and cool concept to me. The animations he has as he spins to throw his weapon shows off his flamboyant personality and swagger. Towards the end of the game, once he gets his hands on the fixed dice, Genji Glove, and Master Scroll, Setzer becomes an absolute monster on the battlefield, hitting for thousands upon thousands of damage, which carried me throughout the final dungeon. He also has one of my favorite themes in the series, for both himself and both airships. So the mixture of Setzer's cool attitude, design, along with his growth from a selfish, wandering gambler to a fellow savior of the world, has cemented him as my favorite character in the Final Fantasy franchise, and as gaming as a whole. I just want to thank you for watching this video. Please leave a like and subscribe. It really supports the channel, and it's free, and you can always unsubscribe later. Thank you for listening to me talk about my favorite character in video game history and in the Final Fantasy franchise itself. And until next time, I'll see you guys later. Peace.